Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting the war against the grey. Today we've got another wish listing video, and this one is thanks to someone on one of our Facebook groups. They've asked me to do Beasts of Chaos. So the Beasts of Chaos are chaos personified. Their very essence is chaotic. Nothing about these creatures is good, and they want nothing more than to tear down the constructs of order that stand opposed to their native destructive force. So without further ado, we're going to get into some wish listing. There's no right or wrong answers in this. This is just 10 things I'd like to see from Beasts of Chaos, but also would like to know what you would like to see in Beasts of Chaos in the future. So leave some comments down below of what you would like to see. Also, if there's a faction or a subject you would like me to do one of these wish listing videos on, please leave that in the comments below as well. We've had quite a few of these coming in from people who've asked me to do ones, and they're a lot of fun to get done for people. So without further ado, let's get cracking into this is 10 things I'd like to see in Beasts of Chaos. First of all, I'd like to see a new chariot kit. A new chariot kit that not only is the basic chariot we have now, but I think you could make it a dual kit between the Tuskor and the good old Razorgore chariot as well. You can make some cool new Razorgore models out of that, and potentially even have the Razorgores be able to be used on bases separate without that, so you actually got plastic Razorgore models would be really cool. But in addition to all this, I'd like to see a Beast Lord on chariot buildable within the kit. I think Beast Lords on chariots were just such a cool thing that existed in Warhammer Fantasy. I mean, say what you want about what chariots were like in Warhammer Fantasy, unless they were Tomb King chariots, but I think it's just something really cool to potentially have in a Beast of Chaos army. Point number 2, I've said this about a few factions, but Beasts of Chaos really do struggle with it, and they don't have a figurehead. Like someone that is leading the faction as a whole. They need that figurehead to cement themselves as a proper place in the mortal realms, as a proper major fighting faction. Without someone notable of leading them, they just seem a bit lost to me. And I think if Beasts of Chaos were to gain a character that was truly leading them forward, it would be a really good addition to them. We've obviously got the ones who worship Morga, the Gave Spawn. And for those who don't know, Morga was a beastman who is sort of like a vile, corrupting sort of beastman dude. He warps the world around him. In Warhammer Fantasy, he used to corrupt people into Chaos Spawn around him. It was quite cool. And he's a direct opponent to Ariel, which is actually quite interesting, because maybe that's a way we make this figurehead, and that's the sort of story we have. Because if we bring Morga, or maybe a disciple of Morga, back into it, we've obviously got Ariel, because she merged with Alariel, the Everqueen, and they became one again. So we've got Alariel, and maybe that's someone our figurehead of the Beast of Chaos, maybe a disciple of Morga, can go against in the lore. This would be a really cool story arc, and give them a prominent place in the lore and an actual reason for fighting, other than just the pure chaotic and destructive nature of their very being. Point number 3, I'd like to see a new Shaggoth model. Now, the current Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, do not get me wrong, is a fantastic model, and probably my personal favourite model in the Beasts of Chaos range. But take your mind back to Warhammer Fantasy. Do you remember something called Kolek Suneater? He was a gigantic Dragon Ogre Shaggoth that we never got a model for, and back in those days it was only a pipe dream to have models the size that we have now. I think we could get a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth that size now. Maybe not quite as big as he was, because he was really big, but I'm talking we could get a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth model the size of a Star Drake or something very similar. I think it would be a really cool addition to the Beast of Chaos range and really give a cool new centerpiece model. Point number 4. Now this is going to sort of be split into, I guess, 3 separate parts. This is going to be 4, 5, and 6, and we'll go our way through all these different parts here. So, point number 4 is I want marks to be available without having to take the battalions. Now, there's going to be a way around this that I suggest that I think is a bit more fun to play around with and gives you a bit more freedom in what you choose to take in your army. So, I want the current method of how you have to get these marks and you can take them in battalions. I want that to go away. What I want instead, and this is my other point, is I want to have new sub-factions that are aligned to the gods. So rather than having a battalion that tells you to take this list of units, have a more free-flowing outline in a form of a sub-faction, which potentially gives you a model line as battle line representing that god, and some extra rules, and obviously marked all those beastmen. This would be a really cool way to just change up how the current book works, and probably for the better. I feel it might be a better way, and more sub-factions are always good because they give the army more different ways to play. And this, once again, as I was saying, is going to lead into my point number 6, which is that I talked about this in the Slaanesh one the other day, I'd like to see marked Bestigor come back. We've already got the Zangor, and that's fantastic. They are amazing models, but I couldn't help but when Nurgle came out not long after Tzeentch to be disappointed when I didn't see Pestigor in the range. And I was a little bit disappointed, but probably not expecting it as much when I didn't see Slangor in the Slaanesh range. I would like to see both Pestigor, Khorngor, and Slangor all get new models. If the new Zangor are anything to go by, I think they could be really, really cool, interesting models that truly show the god's influence on the Beasts of Chaos. And not just that, it doesn't just have to be the original Bestigor, alternates that we got. We saw that with Tzeentch, how we've not only now got Zangor, but we've got Enlightened and Skyfire's more elite versions of the Zangor. Maybe we could get something like that. So Pestigor, maybe they ride Beasts of Nurgle, or Slangor, maybe they're mounted. Slangor, we have Slangor options on chariots, on the giant crops harvester chariots, the Hellflayers that we have for Slaanesh. And maybe Khorngor, we have a Minotaur variant potentially of these blood-hungry Minotaurs. But that takes me into my next point and some models coming into the army that I want to see. So point number 7, I would like to see Slaves to Darkness Beasts brought into the army. So the what are they called? The Raptorics and the Furies. The Furies especially actually used to be in Beasts of Chaos, but you used to see people convert up Ungor with gargoyle wings or something like that. And I would like to see those beasts come into the Beasts of Chaos army. And obviously I'd also like to see things potentially, maybe the Ogroids come into the army as well. So you see things like the Ogre Thaumaturge, the Myrmidon, and the Thaumaturge Crusher, and maybe the Mindstealer Sphinx as well come into Beasts of Chaos. I think it'd be cool additions to the army, and they do make sense. They are Beasts of Chaos. Point number 8, and this is going on the big beastly stuff. I feel like Thunderscorn and Warherd, there's something about them that they just lack. Taking those particular and more elite armies over taking the unified force. Now, that's not to say they should be on the same level playing field, but I do feel they are slightly behind the par on the others. I don't know what we can do, but I would like to see something maybe done to elevate them a little bit more. I do think the more recent points adjustments to, in particular, Warherd have really helped. So maybe that's a step in the right direction. Now let's keep taking these good steps in the right directions to help these factions prosper more. Point number 9 is another unit that I feel just struggles, but this is more a problem with what this unit represents in the game. And that's Gors are in desperate need of some help. So Gors suffer from the fact that they are the baseline unit, and that there is a cheaper option in Ungor that is much cheaper and can do a job. There is also Bestigor, which are better than them, so do a job better than the Gors can. The Gors are sort of a middle ground and aren't cheap enough to give you enough bodies like Ungors, but also aren't good enough like Bestigor to do the damage you require in a battlefield. In essence, they effectively do nothing, and effectively you will never choose them purposely. You'll always choose other units. The Gore models are beautiful, and I would love to see them on the table more. So I'm not sure what we do, whether it's take away some of the benefits from Ungor to make them less appealing, but that's not necessarily a good thing because then we're lowering the cost, the worth of Ungor. Or maybe it's we give them more benefits and we sort of potentially make Gors good against one opponent, and we make Bestigors good against a different opponent. So therefore, raising both people's stocks. Not necessarily shifting Bestigor's power, but shifting Bestigor's power to a focused power, allowing Gors to focus on this other thing that Bestigors no longer cover. This will allow both units to rise up and allow them to both be a viable option. Point number 10, and this is something cool. I don't know, this is probably the most wish-listy of all things. I do save the wish-listiest thing for last, but I want to see a Chaos Dragon back. Like, I know I've said I want to see a giant dragon ogre Shaggoth, but I want a big Chaos Dragon. I sit here and staring in my office just up there, I've got the Reaper Bones Malal Drakar, the Dragon Tyrant model, and he is a giant multi-headed dragon model from the Reaper Bones range. He's fantastic. But I would like to see something similar for Beasts of Chaos, and potentially maybe even mount a Beast Lord on him, like just for the ultimate epic coolness. This is just something I would like to see, multi-headed corrupted dragon. But that's all the wish listing from me. I'd like to know what you would like to see from Beasts of Chaos, so leave some comments down below. Also, if there's a faction you'd like to see me do a wish listing video on, please leave it in the comments down below as well. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and most of all, don't forget to stay safe, stay well, and keep fighting that war against the Grey. I'll see you all later.